much we can learn in the universe. It is the frontier of the future.
All right, we're on. Good evening. Welcome back. USA States Cup 2024 quarterfinals weekend continues. Couple losers bracket matches coming your way. It's going to be Michigan versus Kanssouri, followed up by Oregon versus Connecticut. It's going to be this one guy. It's going to be Chillier Pair. Good evening, Mr. Chillier Pair.
Hello, as my body decides to yawn the second I need to speak. Welcome to Michigan versus Kanssouri, everyone. This is going to be, I think, a startlingly close match for the quarterfinal stage. There have been quite a few close matches this weekend. However, we have also seen two not so close matches, a 6-1 from Carolina, Nevada, and a 6-1 from NorCal, Georgia. Everything else has, I think, either been tiebreaker or 6-4, which is quite a close weekend thus far. I think that Kanssouri, Michigan has the potential to continue this trend with the match today. Michigan this year in United States Cup being I believe, 20... No, nope. Michigan is the 16th.
Yeah.
Kanssouri is the 22nd seed, yes. So... the higher-seeded Michigan facing off against the lower-seeded Kanssouri. Kanssouri defeating Massachusetts last week, a 5-2, and Michigan falling to the losers bracket as a result of losing to North California. No shame in that. 5-0 for NorCal. They also 6-1 Georgia, and they also 5-0'd Connecticut. So the number one seed team doing what they needed to do, and Michigan falling to the losers bracket as a result of that, with albeit quite a different roster from what we've seen from Michigan in past years. But Kanssouri is also slightly different from past years.
Yeah, Michigan, running back a couple members last year, Dark Scrap, Tricky Pugster, Blundra, bringing in Area, who's been on the team in past years. I think Relax Nate played a couple years ago for 1 year. Type Diamond, new to the team in 2024. Kanssouri, Flaro, I believe again, captain. Sengoose Gaming, Medra McQueen coming back. I think several of these are returning players for Kanssouri. I don't have their 2023 roster at hand, but I want to say Simply at least was on the team last year. Don't recall on Fishy, Squidman, and Caprilal, I will be honest. But I feel like these are teams that are at a really similar spot in terms of their overall skill. Like, they're not going to be competing for top 8, like it's just not going to happen. But they're also, but they are going to be competing for top 16 here. Like they're both, I think, rosters that are deserving of, right around that top 16 spot. They're better than, the bottom 8, bottom 12 teams, but right in that middle ground, I feel like there's a fair amount of battle between these types of teams. And Michigan Kanssouri, I feel like they're on pretty similar team-wide skill levels.
I agree. Just looking at the statistics from round of 16, which, to be honest, was like a marginally easier pool than quarterfinals this week. Both of the two teams were bottom 16 in terms of overall performance for the top 32 teams remaining there in round of 16. Michigan at 24th overall for performance, Kanssouri at 20th for overall performance, but with that, a performance score difference of only about 0.11. So not a super big difference there between Kanssouri and Michigan, and each team kind of has different strengths as well. Kanssouri's best map was on DT2 as a team. Michigan's best team score was on Hidden 2. So vastly different skill sets as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be interested to see. I mean, Kanssouri, obviously, when you have Flaro, who's such a good tapping player, Kanssouri is going to be looking into that skill set. And you know, now that we have 2 bans and not a huge amount of tapping picks in this pool, I think Michigan will probably be double banning, you know, the whatever raw tapping maps they can, because they don't want to have a run back of that. Well, to be honest, Kanssouri's DT1 score wasn't great last week either, but Michigan's was the worst out of everyone. The free mod 1 was just like an interesting one, like pretty decent sized gap between these teams on that one. But as you said, you know, Michigan, pretty good score on the Hidden 2 last week, 600K better than Kanssouri's performance on that map. It's hard to say. I felt like last week Michigan just did not play well. It seemed to me that they did not perform to expectations. Maybe a little bit of nerves going up against, you know, the #1 overall seed could have been playing a role in that. But I think that Michigan can perform better than they did last week by a pretty decent amount. And Kanssouri will need to play as well as they did last week if Michigan does so in order to have a super competitive match that they can maybe win.
I agree. I think that that star performer does start to make more of a difference as we start approaching these later stages. So for Kanssouri to have better performing players on more difficult map pools is going to work in their favor. Now, it should be noted that I believe the #1 player on Kanssouri from last week was not Flaro, I think, according to stats. I think it was actually Fishy Squidman as far as I'm looking at right now. So potentially looking for Fishy Squid. Oh no, Meijiro McQueen actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was Insert was their best performer last
week. That makes sense. They're a very good player.
Michigan's best player. I don't
looks Dark Scrap potentially.
It's pretty far down. Whoever it was, unfortunately, Michigan really just did not have a good time last
Dark
week.
Scrap is the first name I see.
I'm like looking for our flag, and I'm not even seeing it. Where do you see
104
okay,
Dark
what
Scrap?
Tricky Pugster's at 71.
Is Tricky? Oh, there he is.
Tricky
okay,
Pugster's at 71.
Right next to
played
Fishy Squid, man.
Yeah, played all 5 maps, averaged 511K. So that, you know, both these teams, like you said, like Kanssouri did win their match, but both these teams not the greatest performers in terms of like their actual team performance or player performance scores.
It should also be noted, by the way, that I think the performance score of Kanssouri is closer to that of Michigan's. You know, we should make a note that Kanssouri played without Flaro last weekend. So to have one of your highest skill cap players not available does tend to throw things a little bit for your team. Now, with that being said, yes, Insert definitely stepped up for them. Actually put up quite a good overall score, being in the top 32 performing players of last weekend. But for Kanssouri to have Flaro today and to potentially have Meijiro and Fishy Squidman is going to be a good roster to run with for them and will provide them some extra strength on a quarterfinals pool that Michigan, who with their entire roster still did not perform up to par of Kanssouri. So while I do support their strengths in maybe some of the more gimmicky reading sorts of skill sets and what Michigan has become kind of good at over the past few years, I think Kanssouri will continue to increase their advantage on mechanics.
Yeah, I think you know, you mentioned a few minutes ago kind of the differences in strengths and weaknesses between these teams, and I do think that, you know, Michigan is going to want to pick stuff that that they can have Dark Scrap and Blendra in for, where, you know, maybe it's some hidden, maybe it's a little bit more reading, maybe it's a little more gimmicky. Whereas they want to take away the strength of Flaro, assuming that they are here tonight. You know, they'll want to ban out speed and try to pick away from things that Flaro is going to be really, really top tier at. Whereas Kanssouri, they just want to pick into some of those raw mechanics, I think, because of based on what we've seen out of them and expecting Flaro to be here. Obviously, you know, like the DT1 from Kanssouri last week being 1.5 million. Well, that's without one of the best DT players in the entire country. number 7 on DT2, again, without one of the best DT players in the country. So, as you said, you have to take Flareo's presence today into account when considering strategy in this matchup. And I think, judging by Kanssouri's somewhat poorer scores in certain areas of non-mechanics, I think that's what Michigan will probably be opting into, and what I think will be very interesting to see what the bans and the picks end up being.
Yeah, I think that there are some DTs that will, fortunately, I don't think work out particularly well for Kanssouri. I think the fact that half of the DT pool is, unironically, I don't think speed player favored at all. I don't think DT3 or 4 give even a remote advantage if you are a speed player. Now, with that being said, DT1 and 2 do, but that's 50% of probably the best pool for Kanssouri, not available to them as like an insta pick, which does help Michigan out as well. Now, Kanssouri probably has access to a lot of maps such as Nomad 3, which is a more of a mechanics map this week, as well as Nomad 5, which, even though it is technically a base finger control map, is more mechanically focused with the stamina. And we're not even going to talk about the fact that the entire Hard Rock pool is just mechanics this week, which I personally love, but Michigan probably won't. So
I do think also you can't talk about Nomad 4, which is literally just a speed map. Like,
yeah, true, actually.
Nomad 4 is pretty much just a standard Nomad 5 OWC free mod 3 from a couple years ago. So that is gonna put another map in there. Like, I think, you know, Kanssouri wants like Nomad 3, Nomad 4, and then whatever DTs they feel best on. DT1, DT2, obviously the more mechanics favored. DT3 might not be bad for them either.
Potentially.
But we'll have to see. You know, Michigan, I don't know what Michigan feels 100% strong and confident on this week, but I would not be surprised to see if they have put some practice into things like the Hidden 1, Hidden 2, maybe something like the free mod. No, I don't actually like the free mod.
Free mod 1, potentially. Dumb Surfer is a practice diff map. There is a ban from Kanssouri on Lechimi na Ostra, which I think is quite interesting. That is just... Or that is Michigan. I'm like so flipped here. So that does make sense.
No, that's a Kanssouri ban.
Okay, am I getting flipped? Meijiro, move your freaking slot, weirdo. No.
And also, they're not even the captain, so that's kind of making.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
But
that's a stream map.
There's just 5 Kanssouri members in the lobby, so
yeah.
I guess there it goes. But
yeah, that is weird then.
It's just a CS 4.3 like flow stream map, right? That is not. I don't feel like that map is like advantage to Michigan to the point where Kanssouri would feel it necessary to ban. I don't think it's advantage at all. And Michigan banning Hidden 1, like that's just basic like hidden tech. That's really not anything crazy. I don't understand the first 2 bans at all, personally.
Yeah, those are very interesting entirely. Free mod 4, I think Kanssouri wins 9 out of 10 times. Michigan banning Hidden 1. You know, I don't think I would have gone for a Hidden ban first, to be perfectly honest. I get that the skill set of map in Hidden is probably not favored towards Michigan as much as the other two. But I would ban out something more mechanically difficult against Kanssouri if you want to guarantee them to not win a point. Like, being as respectful as possible, there is 0 chance that Michigan even makes Nomad 4 close. Like, I don't believe it. It is pure burst 250 BPM speed. Like, I ban that map any day of the week against Kanssouri. So, I don't quite understand from both teams here as well. Kanssouri, why would you ban a map that I think you are pretty likely to win with mod picking strat? Like, you need a Hard Rock there. And I don't know if Michigan is a Hard Rock player that can do 170 BPM, like, triple space streams. Nomad 3 ban from Kanssouri. I am just going to stop predicting anything in this match. What have they played the pool?
I don't know. None of these bans so far line up at all with what I expected out of this matchup. Nomad 3 it's like middle high BPM like mechanics. There's some like a couple bursts, some slider aim, a little bit of regular aim. I don't know. That doesn't feel like a map that you would really need to ban. There's the Nomad 4 ban. That actually makes sense. Thank you for at least 25% of the bans being exactly what we expected. Gehenna is literally just a speed map, and against Flareo as Michigan, I think you get rid of that. Simply saying TY when... Okay, 2 of them are saying TY. I don't understand these teams, man. I don't know if that's just mind games or what. None of this makes sense.
Yeah,
Let's just start the match. I don't care. None of this is logical.
Not even like 25% of the bans being exactly what we expected, 25% of the bans being even remotely what we expected. I mean, Kanssouri just banned out 2 maps that are literally defined as their skill set if you look at their team statistics from both of the first 2 weeks, by the way. And then the Hidden 1, Kanssouri was going to ban Hidden 1 apparently, but Michigan did too, which I don't really know if Kanssouri needed to ban Hidden 1 again. I feel like against Michigan, I don't know if that like mechanics flow aim styled Hidden 1 pick is the best ban for Kanssouri. I mean, I definitely think Hidden 2 or Hidden 3 is probably a better starting ban for them against Michigan or something like that. But for Michigan to ban that out, I feel like removes a potentially better pick for them than I think maybe something like Hard Rock 1 would have been, for example. But it's a Fremod 1 pick, at least from Michigan. This is a map I talked about earlier that I think is probably a good option for Michigan to roll into early here. AR5, CS4. So if you have confident hidden players on this map, you have a very big inherent advantage unless the other team also has a very good reading player or someone who has easy practiced this up.
Yeah, this is a map where we see really interesting mod choices in some cases, because if you are an easy player, this is definitely an easy friendly map with it being, you know, such low AR and everything, and the patterning being the way it is. I'm very interested, like when a team first picks a map like this, you really wonder what their approach to it's going to be. You know, you gotta figure it's I feel like it's a dark scrap hidden tricky pugster hard rock angle. Nobody on this year's Michigan team really an easy player by any means, unless Type Diamond is, and I don't know about it. I am expecting kind of basic mods out of Michigan, to be honest. But here's the thing, right? You're first picking a map that takes Flaro out of the roster for Kanssouri. So already Michigan going about things in that fashion. We did expect that to be part of the strategy. You do not want to let Flaro beat you on their maps. So picking away from that, it's like picking against Carolina. You pick away from Will Cookie. Same thing here, picking against Kanssouri.
This is a solid roster from both teams right now. I'm not entirely sure, honestly, what's going to happen on this map. We've actually seen in matches this weekend thus far where the Hard Rock players actually even end up making a difference on this map. We saw teams like NorCal go double Hard Rock on this map alongside a Hidden, which is pretty understandable. I actually feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of teams this weekend going double Hard Rock and maybe one Hidden on this type of free mod just because of the way that it's laid out. I think there are a couple of teams that have good enough reading rosters where we actually may see a double Hidden and one Hard Rock, to be perfectly honest. Speaking, like, I don't actually know what mods my team is going on this, but I probably would envision a double Hidden just because of 2 of the players there, but we are kind of seeing what I'm describing here from Michigan, the double Hard Rock and then the one Hidden, which I think will be pretty commonplace here. I think there's more people that are comfortable at overlapping Hard Rock than AR5.
Well, we'll see how it goes as things get underway here. Nearly 20 minutes in. Gosh, I love warm-ups. Nearly 20 minutes in, we have our first actual action in this match. Michigan Kanssouri losers bracket. Loser this one eliminated from the tournament. Winner goes on to face Carolina tomorrow afternoon. And it is Blendra, the first to fall, one of the 2 Hard Rocks for Michigan. Double SS on Fishy, Squidman, and Medro McQueen. Sangoose, though, will trade out to break 2 FCs against 2 through the first couple hundred combo.
Very similar misses between Blendra and Sangoose. Both of them actually just left the stack before the last note even appeared. Dark Scrap finding a misread on the Hidden, somewhat understandable. This is quite a difficult Hidden map, even for our most proficient players. Fishy Squidman making it look easy right now, holding down that double S. Very calm, cool, and collected. Precise cursor movements. Absolutely no wasted time here. Gosh, a mouse player if I've ever seen one, I feel like.
I was about to say, their cursor movement looks very mouse.
Very mouse player-esque, but an SS, regardless of what input device you use, is going to be a force to be reckoned with here. We're going to need a second break from Kanssouri if Michigan wants to not lose their first point here. And even then, that counts on Tricky Pugster and Blendra both FCing the remainder of the pick.
This is decently long. I mean, we're not yet halfway through that leads 100K, but plenty of score left to gain. If you look around, it's only 320, 330K on the FC players, so a lot of time left. There is a trade of 2 misses for Kanssouri. Sangus and Medro McQueen both fall. And right like that, it is down to Fishy Squidman against the FC being held still by Tricky Pugster and Hard Rock, and the recovery combos coming in from both Blendra and Dark Scrap. Michigan going to be in the lead soon if they can hold on to a couple of these combos with how big they are growing through the middle. There goes Fishy Squidman as well. No FCs, no combos left for Kanssouri. Michigan takes the lead like that.
Wow, massive consistency flop from Kanssouri there. They were all doing so well, and in a matter of, 20 seconds, the entire team went all the way down to nothing. No gains here whatsoever, and Michigan putting up 100,000 score gap almost instantly. Huge combos. Tricky Pugster really putting in the work right now with this almost 600 combo on Hard Rock. That is doing quite a bit here. Blendra finding the earliest of breaks in this map. Dark Scrap going to be missing on the hidden once again. Unironically, I'm not a reading player, but I still personally think that hidden is much harder than Hard Rock on this, even if you are a hidden reading player. But the double Hard Rock coming in clutch for Michigan right now. We saw something very similar between NorCal and Georgia. The double Hard Rock for NorCal came in absolutely huge for them. Blendra, low accuracy, finding a miss. Kind of saw that coming eventually, but it's going to be Tricky Pugster.
This is a very, very nice play from Tricky Pugster. That Hard Rock helping matters out considerably. And that is slightly less combo than the combined combo on the side of Kanssouri, but a more than safe lead at this point. Just going to be trying to bring this on home into the ending. Will it be the Hard Rock FC for Tricky Pugster? Highest ranked player from Michigan brings on home that play. And that is a solid first pick for the side of Michigan. A map like that that has so much volatility. They emerge with a pretty good team score. Anything over 2 million is going to be pretty decent on that. And not a bad score from Kanssouri either. Pretty consistent, 677, 635, 560K. But Tricky Pugster, the difference maker with that 952K FC on the Hard Rock.
That was, unironically, a closer map in theory than it actually looked on paper. Now, a 300-ish thousand score gap from that map, 248,000 score gap on that to be exact, is much closer than you realize because Tricky Pugster was the difference maker on that map entirely. Everyone else in the lobby found at least a singular break during the course of that map. And if Tricky Pugster also followed suit with the rest of the lobby, Michigan actually would have lost that map. So the fact that Tricky Pugster put up the full combo there and wasn't down at even the next closest player was Fishy Squidman at 677k, for example, Michigan would have lost the map if Tricky Pugster matched that performance. So a big showing from Tricky Pugster on map number 1 to make sure that Michigan got on the board early here.
Yeah, it's the type of map where I feel losing it on your first pick would be very, very bad for your strategy going forward. If you want to pick into gimmick and reading and the like, and you go out and pick free mod 1 first and lose it, then you're kind of going to be scrambling from there. So, good job to Michigan on that one. First pick for Kanssouri to come. I feel like DT1 angle, maybe DT2 angle, with that No Mod 4 ban coming out from Michigan. Would not be too surprising. And indeed, it's going to be the DT2 as the first pick. Mommy Zone. It's Kanssouri. They're picking into mechanics. No real surprise here.
Yeah. I never realized how weird the name of this song sounds if you didn't see how that was spelled. Until I just heard it said out loud, and I went, wait a second. But this is a good song. This has been actually pooled a couple times in the past, actually. A long time ago. I saw this map pooled probably almost 4 years ago now, maybe for the first time, I think, maybe 5. A bursty, kind of like somewhat finger control on this DT2, but very much focused on the bursts and aim for this pick. There is one section that has a semi-longer stamina, where the bursts kind of almost double in length, but otherwise, very comfortable for your generic mechanics player, and especially your DT players will have a good time with this. So I imagine that Flaro will have an FC on this map, almost guaranteed, unless they mess up the finger control section that kind of spikes towards the ending. But unironically, if that's the only break they find on this map, I think they'll still be fine, because I think Michigan, while they do have Tricky Pugster, who can probably match up exactly to Flaro, and Blendra, Darkscrap being fine on here, I think Area and Simply are a better duo to back Flaro up for Kanssouri.
Area's on Michigan.
Oh, Area is a good player then.
Area's on Michigan.
Never mind. Michigan actually has a much better shot at winning this than I thought that they did. Area is quite a good duo for Tricky Pugster here.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't want you to go too far with that Area on Kanssouri side thing.
Damn, Area's going to be great for them. Oh, they don't play for them. Well...
Yeah, no, Area Tricky Pugster is very solid, kind of non-raw speed tapping roster, something like this. It's kind of just a bursty, 250, 260 BPM type of area. No pun intended. Gonna be a good spot for them. Blendra, I think, will probably become through this fairly experienced tournament player at this point, so we'll just be solid on a lot of different types of maps. But the Flaro, the big one to watch out for, obviously Simply Sangoose as well, gonna probably be solid. But we're looking at Flaro, we're probably looking at Tricky Pugster Area. And who knows? This is some of these tapping maps could really go either way if Michigan performs, at or above expectations, and Kanssouri finds a couple of extra breaks here and there. So it's not free for them by any means, just because they have Flaro, but that will be a big boon because, as you said, misaim. That's what you said, right?
Yeah. A little bit of an awkward map in terms of its styling, so very interesting. Hopefully, for the sake of Kanssouri right now, Flaro and Simply are going to be able to find a little bit more consistency later on this map. Flaro does need to come up big on these higher difficulty map pools here. I mean, they were by far the best player in the round of 32 for Kanssouri, and they need some backing up there. Blendra finding a break before the pause is going to keep the score on the side of Kanssouri because of the accuracy on Flaro's. Area misses right after the pause, not paying attention perhaps. Finds a second slider break there as well, leaving it just a Tricky Pugster. Sangoose Gaming going to be more than matching them with the accuracy right now, and Kanssouri now pulling it ahead with the accuracy gap. Sangoose going to slow it down a bit, but it will still stay in favor of Kanssouri.
This is entirely on the shoulders of Tricky Pugster if Michigan wants to have any chance on this. As long as Simply and Flaro continue to hold, Kanssouri is going to be in a fine spot. As mentioned, the accuracy helping them out. Another break from Area, and Blendra already down, all the way down at 94%, not helping the Michigan case. It's going to be Tricky Pugster breaking before we get to the hard part. Well, that may have just shot them in the foot. Any chance that Michigan had. It is a break from Flaro and Simply. But a reset for Michigan. Yeah, that section is just the hardest thing in the map by such a massive margin. Sangoose getting through there is very impressive, but Kanssouri is now poised to take this one pretty comfortably. Just the last key to come, no combo anywhere. This one basically, signed, sealed, delivered. Kanssouri is going to have their first pick.
Yep, that's what I said before this map even started. I said even if Flaro puts up an FC for the entirety of the map, as good as they are at DT, hitting that finger control section there consistently is still quite a challenge, even for the very good DT players in this tournament. You need to have a serious level of focus and control over your tapping and aim to hit that. And Sangoose Gaming was the only one that came out on top of that section. Evidently, the top of the lobby as well in terms of miscount and score. Not highest in accuracy, actually. That distinction goes to Simply there. 18 100s only from them. So quite the performance overall from Kanssouri. A B rank on Blendra, unfortunately not doing them too many favors at 300k. An Area underperforming just a little bit, I think, from what we usually expect to see from them. Leaving Michigan a little bit further out of that DT than I think that they had the potential to be very scary in. Tricky Pugster also with that slightly earlier break than they may have wanted. Kanssouri is going to get on the board all the same as Michigan as this match continues to stay even, at least for this first set of picks here. Going through a little bit slow through the first match here. 2 picks in about 10 minutes, and they're both pretty short, so really taking their time, which I respect at the start of a match. You know, this is an elimination match here. You really cannot afford to find a big slip up early.
Yeah, definitely very deliberate, a lot of consideration going into the bans and picks. Really, that maybe speeds up a little bit. I feel like there's upsides and downsides to taking that much time because regardless of like even your warm-up, just the mental of like, okay, we played a map, now I'm gonna wait for 10 minutes before I play the next map. Like, I feel like you want to get into a rhythm a lot of the time. I know a lot of people, I think, feel that way. It's like, let's just keep this going, keep this moving, you know, so we can kind of establish that rhythm of the match. But be that as it may, yeah, 10 minutes for 2 maps, and Michigan next pick to come. First pick, free mod 1. We do have hidden 2 and hidden 3, so if they want to opt into reading again, they have the choices there. I would not be surprised if this is a hidden 3 angle here, but notably free mod 1, they won that because of the hard rock on Tricky Pugster, much more so than they did on the reading aspect. So yeah, it's gonna end up being a hard rock 2 when all is said and done. So we're gonna go precision. It's like precision, light tech, light mechanics, CS 6.5, only a minute and a half long. So another, you know, relatively short one. Michigan not wanting to play the consistency game here, I suppose.
Yeah, this is bringing it back to that kind of like traditional style of precision that you used to see in tournaments a lot more often, where precision was a very like light tech slot, kind of as you described this. I feel like that's where light tech almost sat a lot of the time, was mixed in with the precision slot. So a very classic map, a difficult one at that as well. I think hard rock players and people who are very consistent at this mod combo are going to have a great time on this map, and unironically, that's why I think it's good as a precision pack, because it is very telling. If you are good at hard rock, I think that you absolutely clear this map against your opponent. Or if both teams are good at hard rock, it ends up making for a good pick. But if you're not good at hard rock, you will really, really struggle on this map. I mean, the patterning is very awkward. It's small circles. The rhythms are somewhat simplistic, but there is a lot of these like breakdown drum sections to catch you off guard as well. So not the most straightforward hidden 2 ever. I'm very interested to see where Kanssouri matches up for hard rock on this pick, because I am unironically somewhat unfamiliar with how strong Kanssouri's overall roster is for hard rock, especially this like somewhat more difficult hard rock.
Yeah, I'm just looking at last week. They didn't play a hard rock last week. They did play one free mod. They got 5th on free mod 1, which obviously mostly requires a hard rock player. 2 mil on that, but that's the only thing that they played that involved hard rock at all in last week's match. So uncertain how it's necessarily going to go here in this particular matchup on this pick, but Michigan confident enough in this to opt into it as their second map. So clearly something that they feel pretty good about with the area Blendra Tricky Pugster roster here, which is a pretty solid one, I think, for these types of picks. It's going to be Flaro, Sengoose, and Simply for Kanssouri. See which team is going to be the first to crack and give away a break point in this match. Obviously got through the first 2 picks without any sort of incident, but a lot of match to go.
I think this falls pretty in line with what we expected for Michigan. Pick something that is very not mechanics-esque, and I think this Hard Rock 2 fits pretty well into that category. Should be noted that in the round of 32, Kanssouri actually banned out Hard Rock 2 against Oregon. Now, Oregon, quite a strong Hard Rock team, but it should be said that Kanssouri did feel not confident in their Hard Rock enough to the point where they thought that they needed to ban it. We've got 2 breaks coming out of Michigan to start. Area with some unfortunately bad accuracy to start off in the first third of the map here. Tricky Pugster following up with a second break, albeit with the highest accuracy on the team, as Sengoose finds a break before the spinner. And Michigan already needs to hope for a second break from Kanssouri. They're going to find it. It's Flaro versus Blendra. Higher accuracy for Flaro, and Sengoose is going to help Michigan out a little bit here, finding yet another break as Area attempts to pull this accuracy up into an acceptable range.
Yeah, and even without that, the breaks are coming in from Kanssouri. It's Sengoose and Simply finding a couple misses. Area does break again. Oh, there goes Blendra on the FC, though, and now it's just Tricky Pugster who's down by 130 combo against Flaro, and Flaro also top act 90, was it 97 there?
97, yeah.
And if Flaro can continue to hold, this is going to be very Kanssouri favorite, but does not. Breaks on that burst, and this is going to be very, very close. 100k into the ending, but I think Kanssouri has probably done enough because there's no combo in Michigan.
Oh, yeah, Blendra found a random miss at the end there, and Tricky Pugster under-aimed both of those jumps. There's a hell of a lot of misses coming out at the ending section here. but it's Flaro to put up the combo and the accuracy for the longest of anyone in the lobby. And Area, unfortunately, immediately leaving, not super happy after that performance. It was quite unfortunate breaks. That was all Flaro for Kanssouri, unironically. Pretty good stuff from Tricky Pugster and Blendra there. Sengoose Gaming and Simply both sitting in the 300k range, so that's 700k from Flaro, putting in hella work for them. So well done there. Highest accuracy, 94.51. Clearly not the hard rock match of all time here, but it was enough for Kanssouri to take a break point, and if it's enough to win the map, then it's enough for them.
Yeah, and like you said, that was really a Flaro difference there. If Flaro gets a lobby average score, Michigan takes that point, because even with the 700k, Kanssouri only won that by 123,000. So if you regress that Flaro score down, you know, to the 500k or so that other players were maybe maxing out at, you had 365k Simply, 313k Sengoose, Blendra next best at 520k. So I mean, if you drop Flaro down, you know, within kind of expected range, Michigan wins that by 100,000 points instead of it going the other way. But the pop-off performance comes out where needed. And Breakpoint, as you said, and Egg Pain looks like going to be the next pick. So we're going to go Nomad 5. It's the 195 BPM Egg Pain, which is just going to be some brutal finger control with a little kind of awkward linear aim and those up and downs, all kinds of weird stuff. Everybody I think knows how Egg Pain goes. I'm assuming that's actually their pick anyway. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it is.
I don't know if the referee is paying attention or what. Okay, yeah,
Egg Pain is a good pick.
Pain.
Yeah, that's a good pick for Kanssouri. I like that. Very similar performance on that Hard Rock pick, actually, kind of to what we saw Tricky Pugster pull on Dumb Surfer, right? That standout performance in the quarterfinals really does make a lot of difference in, I think, more so the slightly like closer to mid-seed matchups that we see here in the losers bracket. I don't think we're going to be seeing this type of performance matter quite as much if you were, for example, looking at a winners bracket match this week. While there will be some standout performances, I think, on certain maps, I think more across the board, it's going to be a team difference compared to here. But, you know, and again, even if you look at the lowest score on that last pick there, Area only bottom scored by about 40k, so really not a whole lot of difference there. But I digress. That is basically just Kanssouri responding to the standout performance from Tricky Pugster on the first pick, as Egg Pain starts to really test finger control more than we've ever seen it tested in this tournament thus far. It starts off as very basic finger control. It's a lot of just triple into like a double single tap stack for the most part of it. I'm wondering if the part that's going to catch people is at the beginning. There is a section of finger control that goes horizontally across the screen in a straight line. And it switches from like, I think a double into a 4 or 5 note burst into like basically a repeat of that pattern multiple times. And then in a singular pattern, it switches from that to a double into a single tap into another double that you need to hit. And I guarantee you at least 2 people are going to get caught up on that shift in patterning.
Let's watch and wait and see who indeed gets caught up by some of those particular patterns as mentioned. It is gonna be a difficult one. Like you were talking about, you go into the losers bracket and you just don't expect the crazy pop-off performances most of the time from players at this level. They're not going to have the players like the Rectagons of the world, the Window Lifes of the world. Early break Dark Scrap to start things off. Michigan going to fall behind that 1FC gone now. And it is a 5-man reset on the triangle aim. Flaro, Fishy, Medra, McQueen, Dark Scrap, Blendra all break on the triangles. Tricky Pugster, I guess, is the aim player of all time, the only person in the entire lobby to hit that.
That aim pattern is unironically evil, and Tricky Pugster unfortunately messes up the triple section immediately afterwards, giving a massive advantage to Kanssouri. Tricky Pugster, what is happening? This is the easier part of the map afterwards. Into the burst at the end here, and a pause. Tricky Pugster, highest accuracy in the lobby by 0.25. I am very, very sad to see that from Tricky Pugster. They had the opportunity to do something absolutely special there for Michigan to get a break point immediately back from Kanssouri, but instead, It's Fishy Squidman to hold on to the big combo, and Tricky Pugster now trying to fight on and finds misses on the tight pinch there. It's Blendra, and Kanssouri just has a significant combo advantage now. Nobody really getting caught on the finger control, funny enough, in this lobby. They're getting caught on everything else, which is insane.
Yeah, I don't know what it says about players in this match that they're having an easier time with the tapping than they are with the aim on this map, but that's a bunch of misses there. It's Flaro, Fishy, and Blendra all breaking, and that should be enough for Michigan to bring this score back their way, because Tricky Pugster and Darkscrap are both on some decent recovered combo. Immediately as I say that, Tricky Pugster finds the break, but it's going to be Measure McQueen and Darkscrap. If Measure McQueen breaks, Darkscrap has the opportunity to try to bring this over, but those recovery combos are going to start to build up. Flaro's back at 200, Fishy Squidman just a little bit behind, also holding pretty solid accuracy to match Tricky Pugster. And we are in the last third, about to be the last quarter of the map, and there goes Blendra. That lead's going to start to grow a little bit more for Kanssouri, as all of their members just having superior combo to that of Michigan. That lead only 50k, but it's going to be getting a little bigger, unless it's a break from Flaro. Things might get interesting here still.
Oh, those stacks are so difficult. I'm actually very impressed that Darkscrap and Meiji McQueen made it through those so cleanly here. There's another burst here. Is anyone going to miss these doubles? It's Darkscrap, and that's the worst possible scenario for Michigan as they lose the pick off of that.
Yeah, that's basically GG on this map. I don't see a way back for Michigan now with Darkscrap breaking there, sadly. No matter what Tricky Pugster may try to do, there is combo on Meiji McQueen, and there is a bit of combo on Flaro as well. The opportunity presented itself, but unfortunately Michigan unable to reach out and grab it. Darkscrap just breaking at the most inopportune times, and somebody from Kanssouri showing up when it counted. Not the greatest scores overall in the lobby, you could say. These players having a lot of trouble with this map, but that top score of 533k on Measure McQueen did end up being enough. And boy, it was just problem city all over the place. 13 misses, Darkscrap, 18 misses, Blendra, 8 misses, Fishy Squidman, a B rank from Flaro, who's one of the best speed tapping players you'll find. But this finger control caused them some trouble. But Kanssouri escapes anyway. They'll consolidate the break point for the 3-1 lead. Now all they have to do is win their own picks the rest of the way through.
Yeah, that is good performance from Meiji McQueen. Only 110,000 above the next closest with Tricky Pugster, but 155k win. That's enough to shift the tides of that map into a comfortable lead there. Insert. We talked about them being the #1 player on Kanssouri last week in Flaro's absence, and stepping up when it mattered on Egg Pain there. There was a lot of opportunity for Michigan to run away with that. Tricky Pugster missing on a lot of the not hard sections of that map, unfortunately, for Michigan, putting them further in the back there than they needed to be. Also, the fact that the accuracy pretty much across all 6 players was rough really made that a lot more volatile than it needed to be, because when you break with low accuracy and score V2, it caps your score far more than if you had something more reasonable like 98.5, 99, and that is why that became so much closer on, when you actually really look at it than the 155k, because a single miss from any of those big combos could throw that 155k back because of the act.
And that's been a little bit the story of this match too, is we've seen a lot of players struggling with accuracy so far. You see a 93, a 90, the pretty good ack actually from Kanssouri on the first pick, but 94, 92 on DT2. You've seen, Hard Rock, but still 94, 92, 93, 88 on the Hard Rock 2. So a lot of players, but a lot of Michigan players, unfortunately, struggling with ack here. And they're going to opt into Nomad 2, which is, again, they went that Hard Rock 2, which is the Precision Hard Rock, lost it, and now they're going to opt into Nomad 2, which is a Precision Flow Nomad. It's CS 8.9, 156 BPM flow. I'm not sure I like this after you kind of gave up any chance you had on Hard Rock 2 simply due to Flaro, and now you're giving them the chance to do that same thing to you again.
I understand, and I totally get that. I also can see that Michigan is maybe looking at this the way that we kind of looked at the result of Hard Rock 2 when it was done, which is that if Flaro fell in with the rest of the pack on Hard Rock 2, they lost that map by a significant margin. The overall team performance for Michigan was better on Hard Rock 2 than it was on Kanssouri. Remember, both of Kanssouri's supporting scores were 300k range compared to that 700k for Flaro. So, this map not only kicks up the precision to an entirely different level to basically CS9 compared to, CS 6.5 on Hard Rock 2. It's also a consumer of bean map, so Michigan moral advantage. And Flaro, while is a good Hard Rock player, I don't usually know as a pure precision player. And this is pure precision, and you're already kind of seeing it right now. Kanssouri's not even putting Flaro in for this right now.
Now that's interesting to me, but I suppose CS 6.5 versus CS 9 is a very different sort of precision. So maybe this they're just not going to be comfy with, whereas maybe we're a little bit more so with that Hard Rock 2. I would say, despite it only being 3-1 currently, this feels a lot like a must-win here for Michigan. You've taken your opponent's best, or in this match, perhaps second best player, the way Medjero McQueen has been playing, out of the lobby, and they were the reason you lost your previous pick. So you really need to take advantage of the opportunity that presents itself here. No Medjero McQueen in this one, no Flaro in on this one, your own pick. And it is going to be a big one. You can't go down double break point 4-1 already here, I don't think.
There's already a chain miss from Fishy Squidman. I was just about to mention the chain misses on this map and how much that they could potentially matter for anyone who misses within the more streamy sections. Tricky Pugster, once again, literally being the definition of speed player can't aim, unfortunately, right now. Having a great time with the flow aim sections, but losing it on the aim as Darkscrap and Blendra trade out misses with Sangoose and Fishy Squid. Unfortunately, simply going to be the one to hold the combo the longest. They're going to break the combo out here. This 98% accuracy from Sangoose is doing wonders for Kanssouri on their biggest combo right now. Tricky Pugster is absolutely tanking Michigan right now, despite Blendra and Darkscrap's best efforts.
Yeah, this is a map where I think you're going to see a lot of pretty rough performances, unfortunately. If you don't have an absolute precision legend on your team, you're just going to struggle on this map. Not many players going to be comfy with CS 8.9, and you can see the effects that it's having on a lot of this lobby. It is Sangoose, it is Blendra, though, on those matching combos, and one of them has to hold, and one of them has to fall eventually, you figure. The question is who can hold on a little bit longer. It's going to be hugely valuable to their team if that happens. Can't overlook as well the backing score of Simply for Kanssouri, and just the backing scores in general with Simply and Fishy Squidman, while meanwhile Tricky Pugster and Darkscrap are frankly kind of inting this a little bit. I don't have a nicer way of putting it than that. They are both having a really bad time, and that is not good for the Michigan cause. Blendra doing everything he can, but Sangoose is matching, and Simply has got a 400 backing combo, and it's given Kanssouri a 200,000 point lead.
I mean, this is the difference right now of Kanssouri having a duo and Michigan having Blendra right now. Fishy Squidman right on par with Tricky Pugster and Darkscrap in terms of overall performance right here. Again, finding these misses everywhere. And Blendra misses, unfortunately, alongside Sangoose Gaming and Simply, so there will be no comeback to be had for Michigan here on this map. That was the one opportunity that Michigan had, was Blendra holding that combo until the ending, and even then, I think it would have been way too close to call on that. So this is going to be Kanssouri's point off of the back of just a better team performance here. This is kind of what we should have seen Michigan do on Hard Rock 2, right? The good duo performance, and then the third there matching up. Unfortunately, no standout performance for Michigan today. It's Blendra is technically a standout performance compared to his teammates, but unfortunately, Kanssouri far ahead on the team consistency there. I mean, this is just not the lobby for this skill set.
Yeah, bit of a rough one. Yeah, that's at 211k on Tricky Pugster. I mean, I think what's happened to Michigan here is they've picked just two incredibly volatile maps. When you go back-to-back precision, like the difference between a good precision day and a bad precision day, you know, your cursor just being a couple pixels off on these tiny circles. It's, you know, the difference between your practice scores and what you might end up getting in the match could be absolutely gargantuan. And unfortunately, it really came back to bite Michigan in both of those occasions, and now down that double break point. I don't feel like those were necessarily optimal picks in this situation either. I really feel like if you have players for it, something like the Hidden 2 or Hidden 3 or one of those free mods might have been better options than going back-to-back precision. You know, hindsight is 2020, right? And Michigan obviously would have had better scores than these on their team sheet. But in the context of the match, it does not look great when you look back on those picks and see how they both went.
I agree, but I think if you're Michigan, you are kind of desperate at this point. I think the overall skill cap from Kanssouri that is available to them in this matchup is just better for a map pool of this range. And to be honest, when you're a team like Michigan and you don't really have the mechanics consistency to match up in this stage, you are at an inherent disadvantage in tournaments just in general, as Kanssouri goes for the Hidden 2, the CS1 Hidden 2, by the way, so kind of impossible to miss on the aim on this map.
Now that you've said that.
Oh, people will miss on the aim, but theoretically it should be impossible because it's CS1.
Here's the thing with this map, though. This map is CS1 Kami no Kotoba. Like, that's all this map is. It's like awkward hidden aim. It happens to have big circles, yes, but the aim style has its reminiscence to Kami no Kotoba, and we know what happens to people when they play the aim sections on that map.
A miss all the time. This map is going to have so many misses, it's insane. I don't actually know how this map is going to go for either side here. We talked about Michigan being potentially the better gimmick team in this lobby. They have yet to pick a hidden. In fact, they have only banned a hidden thus far in this match and have completely avoided the skill set altogether. So a very interesting turn of skill set here in one of the last few picks of this match. Kanssouri throwing a curveball here.
Yeah, I mean, they've still got DT1 out there, and you've still got Flaro on your team. I don't know if there's a particular reason that they haven't opted into that. Obviously, they've won their previous 2 picks, so it's not like it really, did them anything negative, but I feel like when you've got Flaro, you've got a tapping heavy bursty DT1, that seems like a really obvious pick against a Michigan team that does not quite seem to be firing on all cylinders today. Uncertain as to what they're waiting on with that one, but we'll see. Our first real aim map, to be honest. We have not seen an aim pick as of yet, unless you count DT2 as an aim map, which the focus there is on the tapping.
I would say that this map becomes a very tapping focused map for the single tap players on that are playing in this tournament. I think that there are plenty that will alternate this just because of the intensity and how long this is without pauses. But I think single tapping unironically does make it a little bit easier to be accurate on CS1 because it almost forces you to isolate every single note in your mind and just snap between them versus alting where you kind of just flow between every single pattern. So I do unironically think that single tapping does give a bit of an advantage on this, which does, I think, inherently mean that mechanics players potentially have a bit of an advantage on this, at least mechanics players that can play hidden, rather. We are seeing little bit of struggle at the beginning here on the side, rather the top here between Flaro and Area, who can't seem to find accuracy at the beginning here. A little too slow for them?
80, yeah, it might be. 80, 82, 90% accuracy. Not entirely positive what's going on up there. But, well.
Here we go.
Here we
now
go.
for the real map. Oh, and Blendrift dies immediately. That was unironically not even the intro of the map. This is just like the little teaser before the map actually starts. Because you can tell because there's no drum yet. Here we go. Now for the real map. This is where the intensity comes in. Another break from Area, but it's a double break from Kanssouri to match up for the Blendra, and Area misses here. Relax Nate versus Flaro. Fishy Squidman finding another break, and Michigan starts to look just a little bit more confident at the beginning of this map, but it's a matter of whether or not they're going to be able to maintain it.
just eyes on Flaro and Nate here. This is going to stay close. Oh! With a double break from Michigan. It's Area and Relax Nate on the same pattern, but they're no Flaro and Measure McQueen. So Kanssouri's not going to gain a whole lot. You would have thought they could have jumped into a pretty sizable lead there, but instead it's just basically a full reset. Squidman up by 100 combo on Blendra, but that's all that the difference is here. Man, both teams with opportunities, and both teams kind of squandering them here in the first third of this map, and that's going to stay relatively close at only about 60, 70k separating them.
Big difference here between Area and the next lowest scoring player in the lobby, though. I mean, that's 50,000 score right there immediately, which is the majority of this lead as Area and Relax Nate find a break on the last note before yet another pause. And Michigan, as close as they looked with that advantage at the beginning, is once again, I think, squandering a great opportunity here. Clearly not super comfortable on this map overall. Fishy Squidman, 99.55% accuracy. The most comfortable player on this map in this lobby right now. Now putting up the top score here in this next pattern, going to be surpassing Flaro and Relax Nate there with their early big combos. But early big combos only matter so much when the map has a pretty decent length here, over 4 minutes in Hidden 2. And Kanssouri once again with the team consistency, besting Michigan the way that they've done so the entire match thus far. We only had 2 maps where it was one standout performance for either team that made a difference. And ever since then, it has just simply been a team difference for Kanssouri in this matchup, continuing it right now. Unless I think we see either a double or a triple break from them sometime soon. Michigan may start to fall out of this as we approach 200k difference.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan does have decent combo at this point, but the map gets pretty tricky here. Some just more awkward patterns. It never really lets up on you. It is a break from Fishy Squidman, but Relax Nate trades it, unfortunately, right back. So you've got a 2v2 with basically dead even combo, but there goes Area, there goes Medra McQueen. It is Blendra and Flaro. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's even going to be doable even if Flaro breaks, because it's a trade anyway.
Wow.
And that is just going to end the map. Michigan with no combo to speak of. The one opportunity they had there was for Blendra to hold at FC the ending, but even still, I don't know that it would have brought back 200k, and now it absolutely will not. And this is going to be Kanssouri going on a streak in this match. 5 straight maps it's about to be. And they'll be at a 5-1 lead. Michigan just unable to get anything going after winning their own first pick. And this is going to be Kanssouri winning their 3rd straight map of their own. 5 straight overall. And it is going to be match points the rest of the way for the Kanssouri side. Michigan with a big, big uphill climb ahead of them.
That was 3 opportunities once again squandered for Michigan. They had 3 combos matching 3 combos, and every single time Kanssouri found a break, Michigan did as well, letting that slip away. Double 99 for Kanssouri as well. Majiro McQueen and Fishy Squidman far outclassing the competition in terms of overall accuracy. Single-digit 100 counts on both of them. And a triple 500k for Kanssouri. Pretty close, honestly, on the money for Michigan there. A 500k from Blendra, not too far behind from Relax Nate. Area finding just a little bit more trouble, sitting around 400k, but again, pretty similar scores on both teams here across the board, but just marginally better for Kanssouri as they approach match point on, luckily for Michigan, their pick, but with the consistency that Kanssouri has displayed thus far and the overall team depth that they have displayed over Michigan, I see this potentially not working out for Michigan unless they have an ace up their sleeve here.
The ace up their sleeve in question is like Thies walking into the room, tearing off his white medical coat to reveal like a Michigan USC Osu, shirt of some kind. Like, guys, don't worry, he's back.
Do we have like a 220 BPM 8-minute stream map that Topoi can 1v3 on? Like, is this the method now?
Those who from the heavens came is actually now free mod 3. Little did you know.
I respect. Let's go. Yeah, it's like a dual pick. You have to roll a dice. If you roll up or down, then the free mod pick changes. That's a crazy concept, actually.
That's nuts, actually.
A roll,
Yeah.
changing the pick based on what you roll, that could be wild.
It's like one of those tournaments, you know, where they have like the like gimmicks where you can select and like you tell a ref, hey, we want this to be the gimmick. So if like a certain map gets picked, something gets changed about it, like it has to get played with forced hard rock or whatever.
Oh,
Just,
remember the Osu Legends with the power-ups, too?
Yeah, dude. I think like
Oh.
one of the like ANZT or something iterations did something along those lines. Pretty
Yeah.
sick idea. Michigan is though gonna opt into the free mod 2 here. I have no thoughts on this particular pick. This is it's like kind of light tech, a little bit of awkward aim involved. It's Doku. I mean, most people are going to be familiar. One thing about this map is that it's really difficult with hard rock. So if you, it's again one of those situations where if you have somebody who's super comfy on this with a particular mod, here it's hard rock, whereas like Dumb Surfer would be hidden. If you have somebody who's really comfortable with this on hard rock and a decent no mod player and hidden player, you're going to be in a good spot versus somebody that only has the good no mod and hidden players.
I agree. This map is, I think, super hard rock player dependent. If you have a confident hard rock player on this map, I think you automatically win it in a match like this. Again, I kind of talked about it earlier, like the upper bracket matches, all of what I'm saying right now throws out the window because you're going to have 2 or 3 people that are confident to play on, you know, all of these maps. But like, these are the types of matches where a singular player will absolutely make a difference. So if Kanssouri can put Flaro in for this, and have them play Hard Rock again like they did on Hard Rock 2 and just gap the rest of the competition there, Michigan's going to have a bad day. And there's Flaro. So we're waiting to see what potentially happens with the mods here. But again, you know, compared to like Tricky Pugster, who has generally been Michigan's best Hard Rock player today, definitely an interesting turn of events. This is an aim map as well, which unfortunately Tricky Pugster has not been having a good day with the aim today. Neither has Area. So probably the Blendra Tricky Pugster combo on the bottom for Michigan alongside Dark Scrap.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, there you go. Blendra, Tricky Pugster, Dark Scrap.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, just need that third for Kanssouri. Do we actually think there's like a world where Michigan can win another point here? I would like there to be a world where Michigan can win another point here.
I think that unfortunately, from what I've seen thus far, and the fact that this map is really, really mechanics favored and aim favored, which Michigan has had a really rough time on today, especially the aim, it is somewhat unlikely, but anything can happen, and the change of, you know, the courses of matches have completely changed in literally a matter of one map many times in the past, so potentially something that can happen here. Unfortunately, someone in chat immediately saying 3v2, so someone's not having a good time on this map today. Tricky Pugster on the Hard Rock, Dark Scrap on the Hidden, Blender on the Nomad. No surprises from Michigan. Same from Kanssouri. Insert on the Hidden, Flaro on the Hard Rock, Fishy Squidman on the Nomad. Again, I'm really, really looking at the difference between Flaro and Tricky Pugster on this map on that Hard Rock. Those are going to be easily the 2 most difficult times on this map with that Hard Rock.
Yeah, I was going to say,
and it's a disconnection. Oh no, it's just client absolutely fully dying.
Client. Yeah,
fully dying.
That was a weird one. All
yeah,
right.
I've never seen him like fully pop out and back in.
Yeah. Yeah, that was bizarre. Okay, well, we're good. It's early break from Dark Scrap, early couple breaks from Dark Scrap on the Hidden. Anyway, yeah, I was going to say, Tricky Pugster versus Flare with the Hard Rock matchup. As Michigan finds a full reset, it doesn't even matter what I had to say, but I will finish the thought anyway. Flare has just been the better player of those two in this match, as kind of expected. Tricky Pugster, very good, you know, kind of raw mechanics, whether it's tapping or aim. But stuff like this, not necessarily quite as much within his wheelhouse. But Michigan just struggling with this pick, and Insert, man, there is a miss on one of those triples. Those are easy to miss aim, but had the best combo and has the best score in the lobby to this point, helping Kanssouri out to 150k lead, and Michigan just struggling. Dark Scrap really having a rough time putting together a combo in the first half before this break.
This is not a Dark Scrap skill set in my mind, to be perfectly honest. I think he usually probably could play a little bit better than this on some of the aim patterns, but this map is very bursty in between the aim. And I think that removes a lot of the stamina, as you see Darkscrap like full missing the end of that stream there as we come into the break core section here. It is Tricky Pugster, unfortunately, dropping the combo. I was going to say maybe matching Meijiro, but both of them once again trading. And again, we've seen this the entire match so far. Kanssouri and Michigan, someone builds up a combo, they trade both of them at the exact same time. So it's basically just whoever comes out with a lead early on in every single map wins the map, because there's no comeback potential to be had, because neither team is able to maintain consistency through the entire pick in anything we've seen thus far. I mean, everyone cannot play this map right now. Not a single person is able to combo this. Look at this.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, this is, as we discussed earlier, just kind of the story of losers bracket matchups this week versus winners bracket. The teams that are going to be falling in that realm of, like, 12th to 24th, unfortunately, just are going to have a tough time on this pool in most cases. And you're kind of seeing that here with these scores just, unfortunately, not landing where you might expect them to otherwise. Sub 1 million team score for Michigan, just a really unfortunate showing for them on that map. It is going to be Kanssouri taking the victory, just a better performance from everyone there. 474k from Insert, and the 480k from Flaro, 340k from Fishy Squidman. It just, like you said, anytime somebody took a lead, the map was over, because there was no coming back on any of these picks at any point, because nobody could get combo going on any of the maps through the harder sections of them. We saw it. We saw it really just time and time again. It happened on Dumb Surfer. It happened, mostly happened on Mommy Zone. Literally one person hit the hard part. Only Flaro had anything approaching really a decent time on Hard Rock 2. A lot of breaks, a lot of misses on Egg Pain. I mean, it was just a struggle through this entire match. Unfortunately for Kanssouri, they were pretty much always the ones going out to the early leads, and then they could just sit on them the rest of the map, because there was never any combo in any of these picks for roughly a half, if not, maybe a third to half of most of these maps.
Yeah, we usually talk about the higher skill cap teams maybe starting to take an advantage on these later stages here, starting in quarterfinals. This was definitely more of a difference of consistency between the two teams here. Kanssouri just simply looked better in this match today. They were more consistent. They had a better roster overall. Their depth really carried them through, and that's the reason that they are going to be moving on to the second part of the quarterfinals matchups this weekend. So well done to them. Unfortunately, we will have to say goodbye to Michigan now in the quarterfinals, round 1 here. We thank them for coming out for the tournament as usual. Always good to see Michigan again, the lower seeded team. Going to be coming out on top today, however. Kanssouri has quite a difficult matchup going into tomorrow versus Carolina, the 8th seeded team, who is only in losers bracket as a result of losing to fairly strong Georgia, and the fact that Carolina was missing Razorfruit, who I probably hope have for this match.
Wait, Carolina, Razorfruit.
No,
what?
Georgia was missing Razorfruit yesterday.
Razorfruit, and that doesn't, yeah, and they don't have it on the roster.
I'm braining.
Yeah,
Either way,
I don't know, but
fat brain today.
Yeah, I think Carolina playing the way they did today against Nevada, I'm pretty comfortable in saying they should be able to beat this Kanssouri team, but I think it'll be a little more interesting than their first match, which was, very straightforward 6-1. But we'll have to see. That's going to be tomorrow. That's 19 UTC tomorrow. Carolina awaits Kanssouri, who were just our victors here in this one. So good job to both of those teams on advancing into the next round of losers.
We've got another match.
We have another match. It's in a few minutes. I believe we're going to step away for about 5 or 10 minutes while we get things set up. It is going to be Oregon versus Connecticut as one of our last 2 matches actually in the losers round 2. So that's going to be coming up at about quarter after, so about a little under 10 minutes on that one. We'll be right back with you from the other side of this break with one more match in this particular block. So thank you for being here so far. Congratulations to Kanssouri, and we'll see you guys in maybe about 10 minutes or so as this block continues onward.